Hello everyone! Thank you for joining us for a new Burda style video. In this tutorial, we will be presenting Model 5B from the issue Burda Easy number 6 from November to December 2022. Together, we will make this pretty shirt dress, which is a wardrobe must-have that you can wear on any occasion and during any season. Fine details like the patch pockets, cuff, and point collar add an extra touch to this timeless piece specifically made for beginners. The fabric, which is the same used in the magazine, is a 100% organic cotton denim. You can find this on the website of our partner C. Pauli, who is specialized in GOTS certified fabric. As far as supplies goes, you will need matching thread, top stitching thread, pins, a sewing machine and needle, sewing scissors, a tape measure, a hand sewing needle, a pencil or tailor's chalk, a pen, a ruler, a tracing wheel, Burda style tracing paper, interfacing, and snap buttons. And don't forget to take your measurements and compare them with those in the chart in your magazine. This will help you determine the best fit for you. Next, cut out or transfer the pieces 1 to 9 from the pattern sheet number 2 and place these in the fabric according to the cutting layout. Transfer the outline of the pieces, then add the allowances and notches found in the instructions for your model. Then trace piece B onto this fabric with the help of a ruler and pencil. I'm using a tracing wheel and tracing paper to transfer all the lines and notches to the opposite side of the fabric. Before I remove the pins for my cut pieces, I carefully place the paper underneath the fabric and run the tracing wheel along the pattern lines and over the notches. You can find more details in the instructions of your tracing paper. Then cut out the interfacing for pieces 5 and 6, for one of the collar pieces 8, and for the cuffs, which are piece B. I'm using the Elna Excellence 680 Plus sewing machine to sew this piece, and the Elna Extend 864 Air Overlocker to neaten the edges. Now, the first step, the pockets. I fold the facing toward the right side of the fabric along the fold line, pin it to the side edges of the pocket, and then stitch the pinned edges. I turn the facing over, press the seams and the fold, and top stitch it with the top stitching thread. I fold and press the pocket allowances toward the opposite side of the fabric to continue the seams, then pin or baste the pocket at the front. I top stitch it and then make a back stitch at each end. The second step, the back and front yokes. I pin the front yoke onto the front bodice right sides together, stitch the allowances starting from notch 1, and press the seams upward. I neaten the allowances together and top stitch 5 millimeters from the seam. I fold the back pleats, pin or baste them, and then place the back yoke onto the back bodice right sides together. I pin the allowances and stitch them starting from notch 2. I press the seam upward, neaten the allowances together, and top stitch the yoke 5 millimeters from the seam. The next step, the shoulders of the dress and facing. I place the shoulders onto the front and back facing, right sides together, pin the allowances, and stitch starting from notch 4. I press the seams open and neaten the outer edge. Then I neaten the front and back shoulders, place them right sides together, pin, and stitch the allowances together. Now I press the seam open. The next step, the collar and facing. I place one collar on top of the other, right sides together, and pin the allowances besides those of the neckline. I stitch the pinned edges, trim the allowances, clip the corners, and turn the collar right side out. I press the seam and top stitch it 5 mm from the edge. I place the neckline of the collar onto the neckline of the back and front bodice. Now, I pin the open edges of the collar onto the neckline of the dress, making sure notch 6 and the shoulder seams match up with the notches of the collar. I stitch the collar at 1 cm from the edge with large stitches. You can baste this if you prefer. I then place the facing on the dress, right sides together, pinning the neckline with the collar, the front edges, and the hem. Now I stitch the neckline, the front edges, and the hem. I clip the allowances at the curves of the neckline and then trim the corners at the neckline and the hem. I turn the facing right side out. I fold the facing inward, then press the front and bottom edges as well as the neckline seam. I neaten the side edges of the dress. Now I place the front bodice and the back bodice right sides together, pin the sides, stitch, and press the seam open. I neaten the hem allowance, fold it towards the wrong side of the fabric as I press, and then pin it. I top stitch the front edges and the hem. Now I attach the facing to the shoulder seams of the dress with a few stitches by hand. I continue with the sleeves and cuffs. I make the stitch on the machine as big as I can and stitch 2 parallel lines between the notches on the sleeve head, leaving the threads at the ends of the stitches. I create the fold at the bottom of the sleeve by pinning or basting it. Then I place the cuff on the bottom of the sleeve right sides together. I pin the allowances, stitch them together, and press them towards the wrist. I then fold this in half, wrong sides together so that it's 5 centimeters wide. Then I press the fold. I unfold the cuff, then neaten the cuff's bottom edge as well as the sleeve allowance with the cuff. I then fold the sleeve in half right sides together and pin the allowance, making sure the wrist seam matches up. I stitch the allowances together starting from notch 8 and press the seam open. I fold the cuff inward. Then I top stitch the fold and the wrist seam by holding onto its inner edge with the seam. I then place the sleeve and the armhole right sides together and pin the allowances while making sure the sleeve seam matches up with the side seam and notch 9, and that the shoulder seam matches up with the sleeve notch. I pull on the lower gathering threads to ensure it is the correct size. Then I stitch the allowances of the armhole. I press the seam towards the sleeve and neaten the allowances together. To finish, the snap buttons. I place the top of the button on the right front edge and the lower part of the button on the left front edge. Then I attach the buttons with snap pliers. And that's it! The dress is now finished! You can make it in different lengths, with or without a belt, and from several types of fabric. This way you can wear it for any type of occasion. This month we also have a tutorial for the model 3C blouse, which is on the cover of this Burda Easy issue for November to December. Don't forget to share your creations with us and other sewers on our social networks. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. I'll see you soon for a new model. Burda Style would like to thank and recommend its partners Elna and C. Polly. Thanks for following us and see you soon for a new Burda Style tutorial.